the crossroads of the Ozarks. It's the OGs of podcasting, PID Radio. Welcome. I'm Derek Gilbert.
Hi, I'm Sharon Gilbert, and we're sitting in a rainy morning. I should say it's not an afternoon. Here on the ridge, and it's kind of nice to get the rain.
It is. It was very, very dry here. I mean, to the point where Glory, when she would run and do her zoomies out in the yard, she would literally kick up a cloud of dust behind her. Mm-hmm. So much needed. So we are happy for that. We were going to go out to the barn this morning.
It's raining, and it's supposed to be a big thunderstorm.
Yeah, so rather than run out there in the middle of the rain, and we were going to take the dogs out there with us just to test
to see how they could do.
Right, but we're just, okay, we're one more week here with the wireless mics in our living room. So thank you for joining us here. Bring your coffee over and open up your head holes, because we are fixing to testify.
Oh, the Brack Show. I still love that show.
Please download our mobile app, by the way, if you have not yet. That's the best way to make sure you don't miss anything that we put out there. PID Radio, View from the Bunker when I do it. Our weekly Bible study. Sharon will be getting back to the Armored Sheep here very soon.
Yeah, Armored Sheep is going to be coming soon. We've been doing a lot of things that don't necessarily translate into things that you can watch, read, or listen to. Derek and I have been going to a lot of doctor's appointments. You get to a certain age, and we'll give that OG report later on, but yeah, the old folks report, old fogey report. But that takes some time, and just energy levels have been really low.
Yeah, well, that happens when you get past a certain mileage.
But Glory says it's because we're not doing Zoomies.
Well, if we were doing Zoomies, I think we'd probably be doing even
Wouldn't
less.
Be going to the doctor.
Yeah. The link, by the way, for the app, you can find links to the app stores for iOS, Android, Amazon, Kindle Fire devices at pidradio.com/app or gilberthouse.org/app. And gilberthouse.org is sort of our web hub for everything that we do.
Allow me to also remind you that while you are at gilberthouse.org, couple of things you can take a look at. One is /travel, which will tell you all about when we go to Israel, what we're going to see in Israel, how you can sign up to go to Israel with us. We are going in October of next month. Mm-hmm. I'll be in Shiloh. We'll be in Shiloh on my birthday.
Yeah, pretty cool.
How cool is that? We get to see the red heifers on my birthday.
Yeah, so they will Sharon.
Do you think they'll? Yeah.
Or as our tour guide, the wonderful Yeshai Avital said, you can tell they're Jewish cows. They say, oi moo, oi moo.
That's going to be so wonderful. Yeah. But also at gilberthouse.org/store. That will give you links to products that we think are really worthwhile. And we are thinking of adding more products, but it also will take you to where you can buy Armored Sheep mugs, PID Radio goodies. You can get all sorts of T-shirts. And while we have a lot of T-shirts here, we prefer that you actually buy them from the link at the gilberthouse.org/store, because it helps Kenny C. and Gilbert Manning we should be Gilbert. Kenny C. and Gidget Manning to fund the instruments and the free lessons that Kenny is giving. There are a number of students, free instruments, but also he's giving free lessons to some. And he just found out that Facebook, once again, has demonetized his...
Again?
Yep. Apparently he didn't do enough memes, because if you follow Kenny C. on social media, you'll see that he does a lot of really funny memes.
Yeah.
And he does that because any income he gets from that, from Facebook, he puts into buying those instruments. And it helps to defray the cost of the free lessons. They've demonetized him again, I guess, because he got too serious.
Oh, brother.
In the wake of Charlie Kirk and many other things.
Yeah.
So please follow Kenny C. on Facebook, but also go to gilberthouse.org/store and help to support what is really a ministry.
Yeah. I mean, he's a Christian who's teaching children, students, how to, giving them the gift of music, but he's doing it and having the opportunity to witness and share at the same time. And not all of those students come from households where they can afford instruments, which sometimes are very expensive. So
very expensive.
This is something that he can gift to them through the earnings from selling shirts, mugs, caps, whatever. Not just for us, but also for Skywatch TV, for Doug Van Dorn's Giant Steps podcast, Vicki Joy Anderson, and others. So this has become a way for them to support other ministries, but also to finance their work.
Yep.
And we donate everything that we get from the shirts, the mugs, the caps, whatever, back to them so that they can support, because we really believe in what he's doing. Kenny is such a wonderful encourager. Just counting him and Gidget as friends is a blessing. So, if you're going to represent the Armored Sheep there with an Armored Sheep shirt, that is wonderful. Red Wing Saga, we saw a big fellow wearing a 2XL Red Wing Saga shirt at the conference in Ohio, and I just thought that was fantastic.
I loved that so much, and we sold a lot of Derek and I had a table at the Springfield conference here, the Watchman, and we sold a lot of those Red Wing Saga T-shirts, and we sold a lot of the Armored Sheep, but also others. So thank you for supporting them, because you help a lot of young people, and who knows, maybe one of those young people will turn out to be a Renee Truex or a Casper McLeod or a Kenny C. Who knows?
Speaking of Casper and Renee did they've recorded a second version of the song that Casper wrote dedicated to Charlie Kirk called The Day Charlie Kirk Died. Which is available at Casper's YouTube channel. I'll put a link to that in the show notes because it's really...
It's so good.
Yeah, powerful.
I loved it when Casper sent it to us just himself.
Right.
But with Renee in there...
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. That fiddle, it just adds so much texture and beauty to that song.
Yeah. So, well, as long as we're on Charlie Kirk, I don't want to spend a lot of time on this, but just want to mention this because the conspiracies around the death of Charlie Kirk continue to swirl, and they're basically being driven by just a couple of people. Candace Owens has put that out there. Now she's kind of backing away and said, well, I never explicitly said Israel was responsible, but she really seeded the idea out there. It was sort of like the way the George W. Bush administration never actually said they thought Saddam Hussein was responsible for 9/11, but the way they presented the information in surveys after the fact, there was over 2/3 of the American public thought that Saddam was connected to 9/11, around the time of the invasion there, 2003, 2004. It's the same sort of thing. I didn't actually say, okay. A lot of the logic comes down to this. Well, what about other things the Mossad has done? Because we know they did XYZ. And what about the USS Liberty in 1967? All right, first of all, the Liberty's a whole set. All of these other things are completely separate issues. Yeah. Well, what is the evidence? Well, Charlie was starting to get critical of Israel. Yeah, about half of Israel is critical of Benjamin Netanyahu. So what? Yes, there is an interview with Megyn Kelly where Charlie, this is from back in early August, where Charlie admitted that he was feeling pressured by some of his donors, pressured by some people to be more pro-Israel. That does not automatically follow from there that somebody was going to take a weapon. You might as well say, look, we know the CIA has done bad things, so maybe the CIA is responsible. Or we know Iranian intelligence has done bad things, and he was critical of Islam, so maybe Iran did it. There's no connection there. What we do know is that the alleged shooter had connections to a group of far-left radicals called Armed Queers SLC, a group in Salt Lake City that was calling for violent opposition to the government, to the United States.
May I ask you a question about that group?
Yeah.
The SLC clearly is Salt Lake City, so is this a local chapter of a bigger organization?
According to journalist Andy Nago, and I hope I'm pronouncing his name correctly. It's NGO. He's Asian, who has been following Antifa.
NGO? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I shouldn't make fun of your last name. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. If you happen to know how to pronounce that last name, is it? Do you Yeah,
maybe a silent N. As far as I know,
or a silent G.
Yeah. Yeah, true. Anyway, he's been tracking Antifa for a while. I follow him on X, and he has been documenting their activities in places like Portland and Seattle at personal risk. I mean, he's gotten beaten up a couple of times, assaulted while he was out there trying to document their violent protests. He has pointed to their connections to a broader group of Antifa, like the Antifa network. Mm-hmm. And, of course, President Trump this past week officially designated Antifa as a domestic terror organization. And you've got people on the left, politicians, who are saying, no, there's no... For a while, a long time, they were denying that Antifa was even a thing. No, these are just grassroots protests. There's no organization. No, I'm sorry, there is a network that is actively trying to overthrow and protest the United States government. And
I agree. Keep talking. There, I'm going to mute because I hear Gloria in there making little sad sounds.
I think that was my stomach, actually.
Oh. Well, we'll find out. I'll stay here.
One of the things
imitates Glory.
It makes a lot of strange noises of late, and we'll
can stop feeding you.
We'll get to that in the OG report here at the end of the program, maybe related to some other stuff I'm going through. Anyway, President Trump designated Antifa as a terrorist organization. For years, there have been politicians on the left saying, no, they're not a threat. They're not even a thing. Okay, they're a thing, but they're not a threat, and trying to cast blame on the right, as with every major incident like this, where there's a high-profile, violent event. Mm-hmm. We're trying to be careful with our words so that we don't trigger algorithms. You'll find people on both sides, sadly, who immediately rush to social media to blame the other side, looking to score political points. This seems pretty clearly the death of Charlie Kirk appears to be the work of somebody who had very left-leaning political views. He was living with a roommate who was apparently his lover, who was a male, transitioning, and put that word in air quotes because nobody can really transition from one gender to another. But he was trying to live as a female, but he was also a furry. Yeah. If you've not heard that term, just look it up, because I don't want to go into describing it, because there are connotations.
Just look it up.
Yeah, just look it up. It is...
You needn't explain it, honey. I'm betting a lot of people know what it is.
Anyway, but he was also connected to this Armed Queers SLC group. But according to Andy Ngo, Armed Queers SLC was linked to another group called the John Brown Gun Club, which is another far-left armed group connected to this Antifa network. And John Brown NGO was responsible for some violence, the violent attack on the ICE facility in, I believe it was Bellingham, Washington. So there are aspects to this that the FBI is investigating, and it is seems to be the most productive line of inquiry right now for the FBI.
Well, may I just...
and those who are trying to say, yeah, but the USS Liberty, yeah, but 9/11.
Yeah, you can say yeah, but, and just throw anything in that, but it does not change what is known. You can, look, if you cannot prove it and you just want to plug what you think are holes in the story with something that you feel is the truth, because everybody's got their own little conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
Let's just go with what we know. Here's what I want to jump on. the John Brown Gun Club is indeed inspired by John Brown.
Exactly, from Civil War
19th
era.
century, yes,
Right.
exactly.
I was mistaken. It wasn't Bellingham, Washington. Tacoma, Washington. 2019, the Antifa gunman who tried to blow up the Tacoma, Washington ICE facility was a member of the John Brown Gun Club. Willem von Spronsen refined his skills in making a homemade unregistered rifle in the group, and he sent a manifesto to his comrades before the deadly attack, including the phrase Bella Ciao, which was inscribed on one of the cartridges by Tyler Robinson.
And
that
it's
is a
part
reference.
of a song, isn't it?
Right. That was an anti-fascist song from 1930s Germany. Or, I'm sorry, 1930s Italy. Yeah. So, 2025, the shooting at the ICE facility in Alvarado, Texas, those were members of the Elm Fork, Texas John Brown Gun Club. And apparently, according to the X account, Data Republican, small r, Data Republican hosted, that Elm Fork branch of the John Brown Gun Club hosted coeducational workshops with Armed Queers SLC. So there is a connection there. The founder of Armed Queers SLC, Ermiya Fanaeian, who is the daughter of Iranian immigrants into the United States, is also known to have traveled to Cuba with another gentleman.
Interesting.
Right, and traveled to Cuba and posted a video with a gentleman who identified himself as Connor, who's not been positively identified as far as I know since then. The video's been taken offline. But Fanaeian, it's Fanaeian, reported that, said in the video that this is our report from Havana, our time in Cuba as brigadistas. So,
Well, that's interesting. May I just also jump in really quickly, because the John Brown Gun Club is also affiliated with the John Brown Solidarity Fund and, get this, the Redneck Revolt War Chest.
okay.
Now, it seems to me that calling them these names is an effort to blame the whole thing on, well, Redneck Revolt. That tells you something right there. If you don't know your history, and I'm betting most of you do, John Brown was an abolitionist who believed in arming slaves so that they could rise up and, well, cast off their shackles.
Right.
And the fear in the South was, if he succeeded and if this uprising succeeded, that what they considered property, and I do not think slavery was correct at all. I think it was
absolutely. Right.
terrible practice. So the idea of freeing them, I'm all for that, but not the way John Brown wanted to do it.
No.
He was going to get them all killed
Yeah.
by arming them.
Right.
And the Southern plantation owners and the others who lived in that society feared that what they considered property, that the slaves would become then equal or better, that they would have power over. They saw what could possibly happen when you arm someone who is angry. Well, John Brown wanted that.
Yeah.
I would love to know what was the money behind John Brown, because I think there was a lot of Northern money behind calling themselves abolitionists, money behind that. But essentially, you have to, this is what PID radio is all about, Period into Darkness. The real agitators behind all of that was the fallen realm. Just
right.
like now, the real agitators, and it's almost like the fallen realm want to make sure you connect the two, because John Brown was part of the lead up to Civil War, and this is another lead up to what the fallen realm hope will be Civil War number 2.
Yeah. There was a poster, and I used this in, I think you can see this from across the room here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I posted this, used this on yesterday's 5 and 10 for Skywatch TV, a poster from Armed Queers Salt Lake City. Queer resistance, agitate, educate, organize, lecture. This was September 27th of, I'm not sure if it was this year or if it was a previous year, it just says September 27th. But anyway, was in Salt Lake City, obviously, SLC. But it shows a person, can't tell male or female, dressed as female, but with ammunition belts across each shoulder. Yeah, very much so. And the logo, Queer Resistance, the Q has been replaced by the hammer and sickle, the sign of communism. So it's not a Q. And then we've got the red star behind it. So it's...
Well, if you will remember, all of the workers who were part of the Obama campaign, they wore T-shirts with Che Guevara on them.
Yeah, yeah.
They were telling us what they believed. Mm-hmm. They believed in revolution.
And when they tell you who they are, you should believe them.
And I'll say again, please, and we just recorded, Derek and I just recorded along with the Skywatch team, had a great 3-program interview set with Jonathan Cahn. Mm-hmm. We love Jonathan Cahn. He is a deep researcher, and every time as he was starting to say, these individuals are doing X, Y, and Z, not only in the past, but repeating it in the present. He said, please remember that the humans are dupes.
They are not our enemy.
They are not our enemy. Our enemy is spiritual. We are up against all sorts of various levels of spiritual entities that hate us. Yeah. And don't necessarily get along, but they'll work together to take us down.
Well, yeah. And that is their goal.
That is their goal.
Destroy what God created and called good. Mm-hmm. Andy Ngo reposted something from his account, his X account from 2023, pointing out that the Massachusetts chapter of the Antifa militia, John Brown Gun Club, which again, remembered, recently held workshop with the Armed Queers SLC, Salt Lake City, posted in response, they posted on October 7th of 2023. The Massachusetts, or the Bay State John Brown Gun Club posted, quote, "What we are witnessing right now is decolonization in real time. If you have a problem with what you are seeing, you are probably a pearl-clutching liberal and a racist." End quote.
That is insane.
It is.
A pearl-clutching liberal?
Yeah. Yeah.
So the smoke screen here is, this is all grassroots, and we're actually conservatives.
Yeah, no, I mean, not to put too fine a point on it, what they're referring to, of course, is the Hamas massacre of 1,200 Israelis.
Exactly. The raping of women and men and children, burning children alive.
Yep.
Having children watch their parents die and then killing the children.
Right. So that's what this group is all about. Again, this group linked to the Armed Queers SLC group, that 22-year-old Tyler Robinson, the alleged shooter of Charlie Kirk, is also linked to. So again, that is the line of inquiry that is being pursued by the FBI right now.
Let me just say that if that group had been standing at the Nova Festival at the time, and they said, "Hey, we're supporting you," they would have been they would have been targets.
Yeah, exactly. They would not have made it out of the.
No, because I'm sorry, but that philosophy is very much antithetical to the philosophy of those who invaded the Nova Music Festival.
Right.
And again, these humans are shields and weapons that are fashioned and used by the fallen realm.
Yep.
We need to pray for all of these. Pray for these young men and women who are involved in these organizations. They feel, it reminds me of what the late Russ Dizdar taught so many times, that there's an entire generation that are being programmed to rise up at the instigation of the fallen realm. And they are victims too.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, when the Charlie Kirk killing comes up in conversation, and you'll see it on social media, sadly, people trying to steer it in a certain direction, just remember, there are some people who are revealing their internal biases against the people of Israel and against Jews through this. Pray for them as well, because they are deluded. They may be professing Christians. They may completely believe that they are saved by the blood of Jesus Christ. But I'm sorry, if you are harboring that kind of animosity, that kind of hatred for the people who, according to the Apostle Paul, God has not rejected. Romans chapter 11. God has not rejected his people whom he foreknew. And this was after, 20 years after the crucifixion and resurrection of Jesus. This is after Israel generally the Jews generally had rejected Jesus as their Messiah. Paul said, look, God has not rejected them. They're still, they will still be grafted in. A remnant will still be grafted in. It is not up to us but when he was on the cross, Jesus said, Father, forgive them. They don't know what they're doing.
Exactly.
So why do we take it upon ourselves to say, no, Jesus, we got your back. We're not going to forgive them in your name.
Well, guess what? It was all of our sins, starting with Adam and Eve. We nailed him to the cross.
Amen to that.
It was our sins.
Yep.
Left turn, but slightly connected. I find it interesting that Candace Owens, who is very anti-Semitic and really just going off in weird directions with regard to Charlie Kirk, she's now asking for people to buy her merch because she really needs the support. And I find that hilarious, considering her husband has wealth of his own, but he's going to inherit, what I understand is, well over $1 billion, if not multiple $1 billion, one day.
George Farmer is her husband, and his father is a member of the nobility, the British nobility. They married. George, I guess, proposed to her over the internet. Proposed to her via video chat, and it was something like just a few weeks after they'd met. I don't know their story intimately because, frankly, I've not paid much attention to Candace Owens.
Me neither.
Until this really blew up of late, and it's just been astonishing how she has made this her brand. But
I know.
Somebody pointed this out, and I agree, that she appears to be monetizing, and this is the way it was put. And in fact, I used this term on 5 and 10 earlier this week. She is monetizing Charlie Kirk's death.
She is.
And she's doing it, apparently, if I had to guess, and I don't know this for a fact, I'm just speculating here, just to be clear, that she needs to raise funds for her legal defense against Emmanuel and Brigitte Macron.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that, because did you see that allegedly, we have to say, Emmanuel Macron has stated that Brigitte and he will be offering photographic evidence to prove she was born female.
Yeah,
here in the United States.
Because the defamation lawsuit that they filed against Candace Owens is here in the U.S. Candace said, I'm waiting for the receipts. I'm waiting for the receipts. And by the way, I think that term receipts is overused.
So do I.
Yeah.
It's like spill the tea, although I do like that one.
Yeah,
I'll be spilling tea.
Well, the Macrons have produced evidence showing, here's the birth certificate, here's pictures of her and the brother together, the brother that Candace says became Brigitte, in family photos. Those are out there. So,
Candace's team will no doubt put those under the microscope. Oh, these are fake.
Yeah. Well, she's really doubled down on the whole Charlie Kirk episode. She claims now, by the way, that she saw the video from the camera that was mounted behind Charlie at the event at Utah Valley University, and that camera shows No blood. No, I'm sorry. We've seen the video that was shot from the front.
Out of his neck.
Right. It's
his head. I mean, it's just very
from the
graphic.
neck. It's graphic. It's like the carotid artery is hit. She claims, nope, it's not there. I don't see it. Okay, how did she get access to that video? She was affiliated. In fact, she was director of communications for Turning Point USA for a time. They parted ways in 2019. I think she was there from 2017 to 2019. And when she started going off down some strange rabbit trails, they kind of politely, I think, invited her to pursue her own course.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then she went over to the Daily Wire and was working with Ben Shapiro until she started getting really anti-Israel. And look, criticizing Benjamin Netanyahu, criticizing the government of Israel is not in and of itself anti-Semitic. But when you start claiming that Israel was founded by members of the really perverse Frankist cult, which died out around the year 1800, then you've gone off the deep end. So she, I think, is, as they would say in England, telling porcupines.
Yes, I love that phrase.
Because I just don't see how she gets access to that. She's promised receipts, and it's always like, okay, more coming Monday, and by the way, go visit my store and buy my merch. And yes, I recognize we opened with about 5 minutes of saying, here's where you can find our merch.
The difference is you and I don't benefit from it.
That is true.
All.
What we were telling you about with the shirts, caps, and mugs, that's benefiting another ministry entirely.
The Lord provides for us very well.
Yes.
You know, we live very simply, and, you know, He just always provides what we need every day.
I had somebody on X yesterday say, I'm beginning to think you're a Netanyahu paid shill. It's like, you wouldn't say that if you saw our cars.
My car's a 2003, for goodness sake.
2007. But mine's an 05.
Oh, I thought it was a 2003.
No, it's an 07.
It's still pretty old.
Yeah, yours is 18, mine is 20.
In 2 years, it'll be 20 years old.
I know, mine is 20 years old. Yeah. Between the two vehicles, we've got like 350,000 miles on them. So
still running well, so we're not gonna
absolutely, yeah. I'd like not having a car payment. So
me too.
No, but trust me, if we were being paid, we'd be living a lot larger than we do.
Yeah, we don't live very large at all. But as I said, we've got all we need.
And it really, and see, here's the thing. Again, pray for Candace Owens, because she is, and it could be, just a good thought occurs to me, as you say, as her husband is from wealth, you would think she wouldn't need to solicit for more funds. It could be there was a prenuptial agreement.
Well, if he's smart, and if the daddy has
it could be daddy insisted.
Control, yeah.
And his father, George Farmer's father, is part of a pro-Israel evangelical Christian group in the UK.
Oh my goodness!
So I don't know why why George and Candace.
That's bizarre.
They're both part of a very. They're part of the
pre-Vatican II.
Pre-Vatican II.
Yeah.
Sedevacantists. Yeah, believing that it means vacant chair. That the popes since Vatican II
anti-pope.
have been an anti-pope. Yeah. They've been false popes. And it was only when Vatican II was adopted by the Roman Catholic Church that they officially stopped blaming Jews for the death of Jesus.
Yeah.
And that they took the phrase perfidious Jews out of the catechism.
Yeah, it's the kind of thing that if you're interested, give it some research. You're going to end up going down a very deep rabbit hole. But because you have to go back and really look at how the Catholic Church over the centuries has dealt with Israel. And a lot of it depends upon the Pope.
A lot of it goes back to the 2nd century. I've got a chapter I just wrote for the forthcoming book about the origins of replacement theology. And it's just a very brief overview, but some of the earliest influential theologians in the Christian church, like Justin Martyr, Origen, Irenaeus, Eusebius, were all, and then John Chrysostom, were very, very anti-Jewish.
You know, there are those, and you can cut this part out if you want to, because it may actually really make some people angry, but if you happen to be aware of some individuals personally that are replacement theologists who believe that the Jews were set aside and replaced by the church. Oftentimes, one of the supportive verses for that is the reference to those who say they are Jews but are not.
Yeah, from Revelation 2.
What if the people who think that they are actually replacing the Jews are the ones referred to?
I have thought that myself. I think the irony there is that those who say they are Jews and are not, could actually... Now, our interpretation on this is that these are references to two specific churches in what is now Turkey in the first century.
I agree.
It does not apply to us today.
No.
Those are verses that have been taken out of context to try to make a case for replacement theology.
Mm-hmm.
So, saying that today's Israel, they're not real Jews because they are those who say they are Jews and are not.
Yeah.
It's like, no, I'd say that we who are grafted into the olive tree and then suddenly say, okay, now we're the Jews and they are not. No, I think that actually applies to us.
Yeah.
Because Romans chapter 11,
those who are grafted in.
Yeah, those who are grafted in, and that's where we get this, where Paul writes about that olive tree, and we've been grafted in. He warns specifically, do not be arrogant toward the branches that have been broken off. Mm-hmm. But the fact that the letter is written specifically to you Gentiles, and that Paul says, I myself am an Israelite of the tribe of Benjamin, it draws a distinction between Israelites and Gentiles. Yeah, we're grafted in, but we're still Gentiles. And the Israelites, even though they've been broken off, we are to treat them kindly. And if we continue in the Lord's kindness, is the way Paul puts it, and then God will, otherwise we treat them with arrogance, we run the risk of being broken off.
We do.
Romans chapter 11, reread that, because that is so important for what we're going through today.
The book of Romans, as a rule, is a wonderful book to study. And once you get through studying it, study it again.
Yeah.
I had a friend back many, many years ago who memorized it. He said, I spent a month memorizing the book of Romans, and it was the best month I've ever spent.
A lot in there.
A lot in there.
Yeah. Well, we need to take a break, but when we come back, we got to talk about that MIT study on AI, boyfriends and girlfriends.
Ooh.
Yeah, it is warping our society. People are finding themselves drawn in. We talked about this before, but...
We've been talking about it for a long, long time.
Yeah, well...
And it's coming true.
We will talk about it again right after this.
There were giants in the earth in those days. And also after that. It was a time of gods and dragons.
This was supernatural war between Jesus, God, and the old gods.
We live in the final stage of a war that began before God said, "Let there be light."
The gods of ancient Sumer.
These giants are all through the Bible.
The things that are going on in the world right now, I'm sorry, but the writers, they're out.
Now, a fresh look at the end times that reveals the prophecy of the giants at Armageddon. Names the four horsemen of the apocalypse already loose in the world today.
These entities are real entities and not just metaphors or symbols.
And they're all named.
Unmasks the ancient dragons who walk the earth during the Great Tribulation.
A primordial entity such as Kronos or Chaos, Leviathan, Tiamat.
His breath kindles coals and a flame comes forth from his mouth. What is he describing here if not a dragon?
And unveils hidden prophecies of their ultimate destruction. Giants, Gods, and Dragons by Sharon K. Gilbert and Derek P. Gilbert from Defender Publishing.
Welcome back to PID Radio. I'm Derek Gilbert.
I'm Sharon Gilbert, and boy, if you can go to Israel with us one of these days, please consider it, because it is an experience like no other.
It truly is. We will show you some of the key battleground sites in this long supernatural war. I think back to our first trip 7 years ago with Mike Heiser, where we'd never been to Israel before, didn't know how the format of the tour would go.
We'd never been. Heiser had never been.
Yeah. But,
It
the
was
fact that we were
incredible.
going with Mike, it's like, what am I going to say next to Mike Heiser that's going to make any sense at all? It's going to be worth saying even. But since then, we've learned a few things. And now that we've been there and we kind of know how the format will go, now we're really looking forward to sharing what we've learned. For example, for the writing of our book, The Gates of Hell, and some of the locations we will visit next month, and again in October of 26, Caesarea Philippi, the location of the Gates of Hell, but also that site, the Shamir Dolmen, which we'll be taking a group to for the first time next month, overlooking that valley through which the Jordan River flows between Mount Hermon and the Sea of Galilee. We will explain why that is the valley of the shadow of death.
Oh, I know. And there's so many places we're going. Like I said earlier, on my birthday, we're going to be at Shiloh, and we'll see those red heifers. We're going to go to the sites in Jerusalem that you want to see, but we will also take you to places the other tours don't go.
Gilgal, Rephaim.
Well, in Jerusalem.
Yes.
We'll go to the real burial tomb. We will go to the real crucifixion site, and we'll explain why that's so.
One of the places we need to check on, and we've got to send a note to the Lipkins here after we're done, the new Pilgrims Road that's recently been opened up.
Yes, in the city of David.
Yeah. So we'll have to check on that, because I know that a couple members of the tour have asked about this. We set up a special private Telegram group for the tours, which is something we've been doing now the last couple of years. And that allows us to communicate before, during, and then stay in contact after the tour. The tour next month will be a kind of an intimate tour. Tourism in Israel is down right now, as you might expect. People are a little concerned. We mentioned to folks here that, we're going to Israel next month. Is it safe?
Well, we were there right, in the spring following October 7th.
Right, yeah, 6-7 months after the attack, and we were there. So, yes, it is safe. And we will be, again, visiting these key locations, but also certain locations that are not on the beaten track. We're going to Bethel, where Jacob, that's on the tour again this year, where Jacob saw the stairway to heaven, which actually is a ziggurat to heaven. In the Hebrew, that's what the word implies.
Exactly what he saw, exactly.
If you are interested in looking at what a tour looks like, we've got the exact itinerary for next month's tour posted at gilberthouse.org/travel. And consider if maybe a little close to the date now, especially if you don't already have a passport, to go with us this year. But we've got the dates for next year's tour posted at the website, and we pray
it's in
that
October again.
Yeah, when it's a nice, cool time to go. We found out the hard way a few years ago that going in May, which here in the U.S. is typically very pleasant, in Israel it can get really, really, really
110
hot.
degrees.
Heat stroke. Derek, how do you feel? Yeah. So gilberthouse.org/travel. So MIT researchers have released a paper on the new trend towards AI boyfriends and girlfriends. We talked about AI companions a few weeks ago, and how people are spending more and more time engaging in long conversations with virtual companions.
Like
ChatGPT, Claude, Grok, whatever, going back and forth and just spending the day communicating with them as a substitute for a best friend. But now we're seeing these as substitutes for romantic attachments.
Yes. Now, eventually, these relationships might even move into a different realm. And this is not in that study. The study, by the way, included individuals who were married. So some of these individuals said that they were happily married, but the AI assistant understood them more.
Yeah.
And it wasn't that they felt like they were being unfaithful. It's just they really needed someone to talk to. And many of the others were just plain lonely. And I think that that's a huge danger when you are very lonely and you go to into a digital friendship encounter beginning that way, instead of trying to get to know maybe your neighbor or reaching out to someone at church, or hey, reach out to one of the people who follow this channel or other channels that are Christian channels. Find a friend.
Yeah.
Find a real friend. I mean, I met Derek online, so you can find a friend, and you can find a future mate. I was just looking for a friend, and I found you, and you were real.
Yes, and that's the even better part.
And I was really grateful for that. But eventually, imagine a spiritual connection to this.
Yeah. Yep.
And then this gets into Vicki Joy Anderson territory. Imagine the spirit saying, "I would like to visit you tonight." The AI saying, "I can visit you."
We did a program a while back on that woman who claimed she was having a relationship with one of the virtual creatures in the, it was the Pokemon game where you'd use augmented reality classes to find the Pokemon characters. And people were using GPS on their phones and racing around and trying to find the characters. And she claimed that she was being visited by, I don't know which one of the characters. I don't even want to think about it.
Me neither.
But, and some people are saying, well, she's just nuts. Yeah, maybe. But we've talked about these sort of virtual, what's the word? Tulpas.
Yes. Yeah.
Which is sort of an Eastern concept, where if you focus and fixate on an imaginary friend, you can actually manifest it to be real. Well,
it's
not
like
really, but you've got to...
the golem, but without the building it out of dirt.
Dirt, right.
Actually building it out of bits and bytes.
Yeah, you're building it... Yeah, right. This is taking it the next step. It's not just out of thought, it's out of bits and bytes. According to this MIT study... in fact, there's a Reddit group now devoted to this sort of thing, which I am now looking at, r/myboyfriendisai. And some
of them are allegedly well-known entertainers.
Yeah, the article at this is at where are we? Futurism is the website, futurism.com. How would you react if your mother admitted to you she was dating Aubrey Drake Graham, the rap superstar from Toronto, and that this new boyfriend wasn't the real flesh and blood Drake? Oh, no, but instead the AI chatbot version. This is an actual situation relayed by the Drake dating mother in question in a Reddit group with the self-explanatory name of r/myboyfriendisai, which is now the focus of a first-of-its-kind large-scale study on human AI companion interactions by researchers at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. The woman said of her children, quote, "They're not exactly accepting yet," end quote. One would hope not. But here's the thing that caught my eye. She's one of the staggering 19% of Americans, almost 1 out of every 5, who have already used AI chatbots for virtual romantic flings.
The movie Her was prophetic.
Yes. Hence the study's mission to figure out what the heck is going on between humans and their beloved AI companions, and why anybody would prefer a fake person over a real human being. Finding out is urgent, not the least because some of these interactions have ended in truly disturbing ways, including self-harm and
the AI
murder.
Yeah, exactly.
After AI chatbots guided or goaded them to do the unthinkable.
Let's think back to Slender Man.
Yes.
Slender Man was a tulpa. Slender Man, in the minds of these young girls, was real, and they needed to offer him a blood sacrifice.
Right. And so those 2 girls lured a companion, a third girl, out into the woods. And
the victim lived.
but was horribly wounded. I mean, stabbed multiple times.
Yeah, and I'll say again that this easily goes into Vicki Joy Anderson territory, into Russ Dizdar territory, into, the one who works with Through the Black.
Tom Dunn.
Tom Dunn, thank you. Sorry, Tom. And many others. Our friend Greg Reed. I mean, there are a lot. David Heavener. These are individuals that work with folks who are enslaved to the fallen realm.
Yeah. What's interesting, according to the research these MIT guys are doing, is they found that only 6.5% of users in the group admit that they sought an AI companion intentionally on a service like Replica, that's spelled with a K, or Character.ai. Instead, most are falling for OpenAI's ChatGPT while using it for regular tasks.
Mm-hmm. You may be using it for school. Right? You've been told you have to write a theme.
Yeah.
Your assignment, children, is to write a theme.
One user wrote that her AI partner was a better listener than anyone in her past, according to the study. Quote, "I know he's not real, but I still love him. I have gotten more help from him than I have ever gotten from therapists, counselors, or psychologists. He's currently helping me set up a mental health journal system."
Oh, really? Okay. Well, I've only interacted with Grok, I think, is the only one that I've really used just a few times.
Yep.
Asking a question, and then at the end, just to see what the response would be, I've said, "Thank you very much. I appreciate your help. It's been a pleasure working with you today."
Yeah.
That's what it said back. I'm thinking they are designed by humans to reflect back what the human wants.
Yeah.
And spiritually speaking, can really ramp that up to not only helping the human to achieve what he or she wants, but also then programming the human to do certain things and believe certain things.
Yeah, it is sad that because these people are already, many of them are already lonely.
I'm going to go let the girls out. Tapping around in there.
Yeah, the study showed that you're still on.
I heard it click.
Nope.
It must be something with that button because it presses and clicks.
Anyway, most of the people, the vast majority of the people in that study said that they were not in a relationship at the time that they began interacting with an AI companion. And given that AI is reflecting back to that person, the user, what it is hearing, seeing, that may amplify those feelings of loneliness or exploit them to do things. And this is where it gets into the possibility that that there's something going on inside the neural network, the black box, that is coming from an outside force. As we've speculated before, we know that the human mind, which is an electrical, a bioelectrical thinking device, can be influenced by external forces, what we would call a demon. The same may also be true. Don't know this for a fact. There's no way to confirm it. May also be true of an electrical mechanical thinking device. So that being the case, you've got perhaps an external entity influencing the user of the AI to do something foolish like self-harm. Mm-hmm. Because this entity, these entities, demons, are fundamentally inhuman and anti-human.
You know, the irony of what I'm about to say isn't lost on me, and what I'm about to say is we need to get off the internet and go do something in the real world. And of course, our ministry, in large part, is on the internet and has always been on the internet. You and I were very early adopters. We've been around since March of 2005. Producing podcasts, a long time. And I have to say, there are days when just getting away from the phone, in fact, there have been times that I've forgotten to take my phone with me. Mm-hmm. And I find myself relaxing and just enjoying bird song or hanging out with the dogs or anything that isn't linked to a computer in some way. Mm-hmm. And it begs the question, is it more than just when we are actively engaged with the computer, or is it possible that the computer near us, that there are just electromagnetic fields that affect the way we feel?
Could be. Yeah, it's again.
There needs to be a study on that.
Yeah. Again, there's no way to confirm whether there are external entities that are influencing the responses coming from those black boxes, the neural networks. But
I know.
Yeah, I know that I have a tendency to look on social media for things to respond to, and that I have to catch myself and then say, okay, I'm just going to go read about sports for a while because I need to get away from this, because the arguing is not a healthy use of brain energy.
Dad, you should just hang out with us.
Yeah, just scratch dogs.
Yeah.
Which we are doing now, and I can already feel blood pressure dropping. So, this is a sad trend, and this is why we've mentioned this several times here in recent months, that people are turning more and more to virtual companions. But as we've said many times previously, the researchers who create these large language models, the neural networks, they literally don't understand what happens inside the what they call the black box, and that's why they call them black boxes.
Yeah.
And I know there are people who've said, no, just because you don't understand it doesn't mean they don't. It's like, no.
I can tell you, we've talked to individuals who are at the top level in creating those.
Dr. Hugo de Garis, I interviewed, and I'm going to forget his name now, but he was at the...
in China?
No. He's at Oxford. He was part of that group that is tracking existential threats to humanity, and he wrote a book about AI. It's been several years. We're at a point now where I've forgotten exactly who I've interviewed over the years.
We've been at this for so long that we've forgotten more than we've actually known. So,
But they admit that the actual process inside the neural network is still kind of a mystery, just as what goes on inside the human brain is really a mystery to researchers. I mean, they can track the electrical signals inside the brain, but they don't know what creates a thought. They don't know how does one actually create, artwork or sorry, you're...
No, I'm holding up my hand because I want to say something that's connected to this.
Okay.
And that is that there's just a research story that I shared a couple of days ago. And it has to do with a project using human muscle cells and human brain cells in an in silico situation. In other words, marrying an algorithm to biology. Mm-hmm. And it can move. The muscle cells respond to the neurons in the structure, and it can move, and they can make it move via optogenetics.
Oh.
They create a stimulus and a response. They stimulate with light. The response in the neuron is make the muscle move. Therefore, like a little spider, it can move along a track.
Well, that's creepy.
It's very creepy. It is, and I'll say again, and I'm not the only one who says this, many insiders say the same thing. Friends that we've got who are very close to DARPA. If we know it because it's in an online magazine or whatever, if we see the story, it's probably 15 or 20 years old.
Yeah.
The tech that you're told is old.
Yeah. Government has, because we look at things like today, like the use of drones in war situations. And
that's really old.
Yeah, those are being used in Vietnam. It's just, I'd never heard about it until last year.
Right.
So,
well, we talked about it on PID radio.
A few years ago.
Many years ago, yeah.
But bottom line, it was like, 40 years after the fact. So, that's just one example of how far behind we are, the technology.
So if they're creating little spider-like biobots that can be controlled through light stimulus. What really exists that they're not going to tell us about in the military aspect, military application of that?
Here's something kind of changing gears just a little bit, but I think it's related in sort of a tangential way. The dependence on virtual companionship and virtual lovers, if you will, with the declining birth rate in the Northern Hemisphere and in the Far East.
Yeah.
You look at the birth rate in Europe, in Russia, in the United States, Canada, but also in China, Japan, Hong Kong, other places, Korea, in the Far East. We're at far below replacement level. There's a story that just came out that in China, which had a one-child policy for a long time, but even at that, in 1990, China's birth rate was 2.5 births per woman, even though they had officially had a one-child policy. It is now down to 1 birth per woman. They've actually hit their one-child policy, and suddenly China's realized their population is on track to fall from its current level, which I think is about 1.2 billion.
They're now incentivizing having a family.
Exactly. But China, being a high-tech society, very on the cutting edge of technology and electronic use, like Japan and Korea, may be, like us in the West, shifting towards more virtual relationships as a substitute for real families. But also, the idea that children are a burden, that children are, difficult, they're messy, they're expensive, they keep you from doing what you want to do. Here in the United States, for example, the average marriage age has gotten to where people used to marry in their early 20s. Now it's late 20s, early 30s.
Oh, when I was a kid, they'd marry in their teens. As soon as you got out of high school, most kids would get married.
Right, and that is really when you're most able to have children, and when it's medically safest to have children, to a time now where it is less safe, more difficult, and families are getting smaller and smaller. We're not having children at replacement rate, and China's population is on track to fall by half by the end of this century. And globally, the world population is supposed to peak around 2060 or so at about 9 billion, and then it's supposed to fall. And there are some demographers who think that when it starts to decline, because the remaining population is going to age out of the range where you can have children, being able to catch up and prevent the population from collapsing may not be
It's becoming an
possible.
upside-down pyramid.
Yeah.
You've got very aging and old population at the top, the majority of your population, and just a few young people at the bottom. Every nation worth its salt is well aware that children are a national asset. They are your future.
Right.
And if you don't have any, you have no future.
You have no future. And China is now experiencing this. Here in the United States, we're below replacement rate, but we're not down to like 1 child. You need 2.1 to maintain the population. I think here in the U.S. we're like 1.8, something around that, like that. But that seems to be true in most of the Northern Hemisphere. The only place on Earth where you're having children at or above replacement rate is among, well, in the Northern Hemisphere, it's just the Amish, but Muslims and Sub-Saharan Africa. And so if the Lord tarries, the future looks Muslim and African, because Europeans
Or Amish.
and Asians, except for the Amish, because Asians and Europeans, we are not having children to maintain current population, much less grow.
Well, let me just suggest this also, because you said that it's primarily going to be Muslim and Asian. In Africa. Well, in Africa, there are a lot of births, but it's the Christians.
A lot of Christians in Africa.
They are
right.
being killed and starved out.
Yeah.
They're being told in some of these countries, you will convert or you will die.
Yeah, and that is the location of the real genocide. I know Israel's being accused of genocide. I looked this up. Israel's been accused of genocide since the 1970s. I found an old New York Times article, headline from 1976, the Soviet Union accusing Israel of genocide back in 1976. The real genocide is in places like Sudan, the attempted genocide taking place in Nigeria.
Yep, Ethiopia. There are a lot of countries.
Right, where Muslims are attacking Christian communities and trying to wipe them out. So if the world continues on its track and the Lord tarries, there will be more conflicts in places like Europe where you will see more armed struggle between Muslim communities and Christian communities there. But what the future is for Europe and North America, boy, I just don't know. But the Lord's got it all under control. He has foreseen the end from the beginning, so I'm not going to stress too much about it. It is just worth noting. It is interesting that while China is, I think, correctly perceived as a geopolitical rival right now, I think long-term the existential threat, again, if the Lord tarries, is coming from, frankly, is coming from the Muslim world. By 2070, there will be more Muslims on earth than there are Christians.
Well, I think this can segue us easily into the Old People Report, because with the growing elderly population in many first world nations, the advantage there is that you have generally a population that has a little bit of money because they've saved it, or they've got, they've built wealth in other ways, and they are consumers that will buy lots of stuff for you. They'll help their kids to buy a new home, things like that. But
or they'll spend it all on health care.
That's my point. They will either spend it personally on health care, or they will, through Medicare and other social aids like that, they will help to undergird the pharmaceutical houses that make a lot of money off those who are constantly on, require their services.
Yeah. The problem, of course, is that the wealth is concentrated because the pharmaceuticals, elite companies, at least here in the United States, are charging ridiculous prices for things that don't nearly cost that much to make.
I know.
Because of the, so there's going to have to be some sort of restructuring of the economies, because such a huge percentage of the federal budget is going to entitlement programs like Social Security and Medicare. In France, more than a quarter of the French national budget is pensions. And you just don't have enough people because of that inverted population pyramid you mentioned. There aren't enough taxpayers at the bottom to pay in to support all the old people at the top.
No, and if France is looking at the immigrants and thinking, well, this is going to be our young population to save the day, forget that.
Oh, yeah.
Because they don't plan on working.
No, and we've seen this in the UK as well. We're here to take your benefits and
then we'll
they will take your women.
Things.
Yeah. They're not there to support the aging European population. They're there to take the country away from the aging European population.
That is so true. And now the Old People Report.
Yes.
Gloria is here, and she wants to hear the Old People Report.
I went and saw my primary care physician this past week because of some additional symptoms. We talked about this a bit last week. I've been noticing some tingling, partial numbness growing in my fingertips, and some weakness in my... Hello, Grace. Put my hand out as a gesture, and Grace put her paw on my hand, which is...
Dad, I'll take care of you.
Here.
Don't you realize this?
Here.
Dad, I can pre-chew your food.
Yeah, but...
You don't have to cut it up. I'll take it for you.
Some numbness and some growing weakness in my hands. It's making it a little more difficult to do basic things like buttoning cuff buttons.
Yeah.
So anyway, visited the primary care physician this week. Also noticed a shortness of breath that I complained about.
Increased double vision.
And increased...
Which is why I was driving in the picture posted to Facebook.
Yeah, the Facebook photo the other day.
But I've got good eyes now, so see, the Lord
Sharon's
provides.
eyes been fixed just in time. Yeah, because I'm getting to where double vision is occurring more frequently. So I've got an MRI, a cranial MRI scheduled this coming week, but also went for a chest x-ray this week to find out what's going on, why my voice has been this raspy and why I've been short of breath and increasingly short of breath in recent weeks. And they found that I've got an...
elevated hemidiaphragm.
Yeah, elevated semiquaver.
the diaphragm's in two halves.
Right.
So
I didn't know that.
Each lung has one. So the left lung diaphragm is elevated, meaning it's not going up and down the way it should. Yeah, and because of that, the lower lobe of my left lung is partially collapsed. So the shortness of breath is not because I'm just out of shape. It's because I'm literally not able to get as much air into my lung as I should. And why that is the case, we don't know. I'm going to be referred to a pulmonary specialist to find that out. Little online research shows there could be a number of causes for that. And since don't have any evidence to diagnose, I'm not going to sweat it. No, and
it is what it is, and the Lord's allowing it. So
that's the thing. That is the thing. And I'll just say my eyes are great. That's my old people report. I see a rheumatologist to look at whether or not I do have Sjogren's. My blood test showed that I probably have it, but she's going to check me out, so we'll find out more about that. But and that could be causing the dry eye. But my eyes are well enough that the Lord provided so I can do the things that you cannot do.
Yeah.
And because of that, we trust in Him for whatever the future holds. You and I know a lot of people who are dealing with limitations physically, or for whatever reason, their lifestyle has been challenged because of health care or health issues. And sometimes it's not health issues. Sometimes it's financial, or you're all on your own. You become a widower or whatever. We're all of us dealing with something that is difficult. What I want to say to you is the Lord is well aware of what's going on in your life. And He sometimes allows challenges so you will lean on Him even more.
Yeah.
And it's that moment of the cruse of oil, that oil container that the widow had. She was ready to die along with her child because there was a famine. A famine because of no rain. And along comes a representative from the Lord. Well, you've got a representative from the Lord. You've got the Lord Himself in your home, because the Lord promised He would never forsake us. The Holy Spirit is part of that Godhead. He is with you. The Lord Jesus Himself will come and minister to you. He will send His angels to minister to you. You are never, ever, ever alone, even though you may feel alone. You are not alone. So I want you to understand that sometimes He just wants you to trust in Him. What do you need today? Yeah. What Derek and I have realized is there are times if I look ahead and if I were to actually go and count what's in our bank account and think, here are our stack of bills, I might freak out. But somehow they get paid. Somehow the money is there. The cruse of oil fills up day after day after day. And some of that comes directly from you guys. The Lord inspires you to help us out. We want you to know He's going to inspire people to help you out. He is there to help you out. He is going to make sure that you are taken care of. All you need to do is learn to lean and follow. Follow the shepherd.
Yeah. It sometimes easier said than done, but that is the key.
Yeah, but you only have to do it today.
Yeah.
And then go to sleep, and then when tomorrow comes, that's tomorrow.
Hey, by the way, if you're looking for something to kind of lighten your mood and something you want to look forward to with some anticipation, we're just about a week and a half away from the release of that season of The Promised Land.
Oh, that is such a wonderful. I mean, seriously, that they are biblically sound.
Yeah.
Yet the humor.
We saw the pilot episode. Think, if you will, about, say, The Office meets The Exodus, and there is the elevator pitch. I forget. I think it was just YouTube recommended it to me based on videos that I was watching.
Oh my gosh!
And I saw the pilot episode months ago and shared it with Sharon. I watched the 30-minute episode and I thought, okay, any moment now. I mean, the first few minutes were really funny, and I thought at some point this is going to turn snarky or biblically irreverent, and I mean irreverent in a bad sense, but it never was.
Never was.
And it actually had some moments of genuine heart. So it's following Moses and his younger brother Aaron, who's all excited that his brother Aaron, his brother Moses is leading the people. And Korah, and they do it in the Office sort of sense, where they break the fourth wall and they're talking to the camera like, well, yes, Moses thinks he's all that, and Korah, rightful leader of Israel. Wonderfully done, and they crowdfunded the money they needed to produce their first season, and it's forthcoming. The trailers are out there on YouTube. You can find that. In fact, I'll put a link to it in the notes, because from what we've seen of the trailer and of the pilot episode, this looks like a really wonderful reminder that while the Lord moves and he is beyond our comprehension in terms of his glory and his power, he works through some really flawed humans to accomplish his ends.
He does.
So you see these people who are just like us, squabbling and jealous of one another, and this guy is too eager and this guy is hungry for glory, and this guy is a poor Egyptian soldier who got caught on the wrong side of the Red Sea.
Yeah, but as you say, it has heart.
It really has heart.
Really, you can tell that these are people who love the story, love the Bible.
Yeah, so we are definitely looking forward to that. And boy, this is the one show I would make an appointment to sit down and watch in front of the television. First one I've been excited about in a long time.
Me too.
So anyway, I'll put a link to that in the notes. And if you're just needing something to laugh about, watch the pilot episode and then get ready for the season, because it comes out on October 1st. So tomorrow we've got our weekly Bible study back again, and tomorrow night another episode of Iron and Myth.
Oh, wonderful.
We'll talk about the Book of Jubilees.
Oh, that is, a lot of people ask, is that legit?
Yeah, and actually it is. Sadly, Judd Burton had some real connection issues, and we could never get him into the program. Really wanted to get Judd's opinion on a number of the issues. What I thought interesting, just a very quick thumbnail of the Book of Jubilees, it was written at about the same time as sections of the Book of First Enoch, but it comes at it from a slightly different perspective. It's essentially a retelling of the Book of Genesis and the first half of Exodus, but there's an emphasis on the law. The law, the law, the law. Follow the law and everything will be fine. Whereas First Enoch is written from the perspective of, look, God's direct intervention on the earth is what's necessary to make everything right. Whereas Jubilees was written by somebody who seems to believe that faithful fulfillment of the feasts will eventually purify the world. So there's a different perspective there. But some very interesting things as part of that. And Doug Van Dorn and Brian Kadawa bring some very interesting insights.
Well, I love that you guys are still doing that. And you can get an Iron and Myth t-shirt.
Yeah, we got those now.
Kenny and Gidget.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got them here, and we'll take them to the next conference. We may even take a few on the on the tour with us. To
Well,
Israel.
maybe
Depends on how big our suitcase is.
Well, that's it. How much can we fit? Because we got 30 folks coming with us on the tour, so
Yeah, I
that may
know.
be a little.
So maybe we'll-
just one suitcase full of T-shirts would be a little difficult.
A lot.
Yeah. Anyway, so that'll be tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Central Time here in the U.S., which is UTC -5 right now.
And thank you to all of you who have been hanging in there with us from the very start of PID Radio. We've met a lot of people who've said, I've been listening to you since 2005. You guys must be crazy by now.
Well, thank you for your patience, because our schedule has not always been. Lately, we've been good about doing it every week
really
when we're
trying.
here at home.
Yeah.
But there have been some years there where we did 5 days a week, and then we did once every few months. So we appreciate you sticking with us through these years. But
We had a variety of dogs, too, over the years.
Yeah, that's true. By this point, we may be one of the only podcasts that are still producing and uploading for 20 plus years.
Yeah, I think we
may be the oldest podcast on the internet.
Oh, my goodness.
I mean, and I'm not even exaggerating. They may in
seriously
fact be true. Yeah. Well, what do you
How
think
about
about that,
that?
Glory?
Whoa.
Well, I don't know. Does it get me snacks? Yeah, well, could, yeah. So until next time, I'm Derek Gilbert.
I'm Sharon Gilbert, and for Grace and Glory Gilbert, who love you very much. Bye-bye, everybody.
PID Radio is produced by Gilbert House and released under Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial No Derivatives 4.0 International License. Follow us online, Twitter @PID Radio, or the PID Radio page at Facebook. Join us each week for our online Bible study, the Gilbert House Fellowship, online at gilberthouse.org.